what's good, y'all? Fuzion here, back with another video here. We just hit 200 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. We got more to come. But anyway, we got some first take per usual. Let's go ahead and get started.
Performance a cause for concern?
Well, I'm going to say yes, but it's not because it's one game or anything like that. That can happen to anybody. I'm not going to overreact to, a performance that's clearly an aberration, because this is James Harden we're talking about. You're not accustomed to seeing him scoring single digits or shooting 14% from the field. We understand that. I'm just going to say that there's a reason for concern from the standpoint. It's just a reminder of how important he is to the Philadelphia 76ers aspirations this season. When you look at Tyrese Maxey, you know what to expect from him, but he's a young player, as gifted as he is, and I like seeing him as a starter, JJ and legs, more so than I like seeing him come off the bench. I think offensively he's more productive that way, but that's just my opinion. You look at Tobias Harris, the Shake Miltons, the Anthony Meltons of the world. Of course, we get Embiid's the star, Tobias Harris. We get all of that, but it all comes down to me, to James Harden. You're not beating the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee caliber elite kind of
discuss this.
So just real quick, I did want to skip ahead a little bit. I somewhat already know, if I get the gist on what he's saying. He's a ranter, so I'll skip ahead for sure. But we talked about this yesterday. If you guys have watched, yesterday we were talking about who is supposed to be the leaders coming out of the East. And I talked about the 76ers. I talked about how it is important for James Harden to show up. This is just a precursor to what we always see from him in the playoffs. He is known to not do anything in multiple playoff games. Sometimes even at the playoff series, he just plays bad. He'll get a lot of points, but he'll be shooting something like this horribly. With 5 turnovers, and taking just bad shots and doing horrible plays. And there's just a couple plays from even like the highlights that showed him slacking on defense. That is what he does. He will always revert to what he's always done. You play how you play. Unfortunately, he is continuing to play like he's still in Houston, where he'll just randomly, some games just don't feel like playing. And you can't do that, especially coming up to the playoffs and coming up to how important of a playoff season this will be for you guys. This needs to be conference finals or above. If not, you could see this team blowing up. Because how long can we trust the process until we realize the process has failed?
It's a bunch last year during the playoffs. What does James Harden have to be for the Philadelphia 76ers to make a deep playoff run, get to the finals, and play for a championship? Mm-hmm. And I honestly believe he has to be the player that he's been this season, the player that he was at times at the end of last season. He's leading the league in assists. He's scoring 21 a night. Efficiently, shooting over 38% from 3. The reason he doesn't have to be James Harden in Houston is because Joel Embiid is so dominant. It's because of Tyrese Maxey. And I totally agree with what you said. Tyrese Maxey absolutely should be in the starting lineup, should stay in the starting lineup. He's a much better player. Across the board, his splits for the season, 22 a game as a starter, 15 a game off the bench. The efficiency numbers are much better. In the 11 games he started in March, since he came back to the starting lineup, shooting 52% from 3. But the thing is, he doesn't need to do that every single game because there's enough of a supporting cast in Philadelphia, and Joel Embiid is clearly A1 on this team, and he has been dominant all season long.
So going last.
Facts. I think James Harden needs to do almost a LeBron style type of role. Feeding the big man as well as helping out, like the team around you who can score. Of course, like LeBron doesn't have the same type of cast as the 76ers with Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris on any given night can give you at least 15 a game. So James Harden has a team where he has like the luxury to only have 5 points and still be somewhat in the game. You expect James Harden to have 20, 21 points a game, 12 assists. So all of this looks correct, except for the 5 turnovers. I think he's averaging 2 turnovers a game. I can check. But I feel like he always like reverts to this at some point. We saw it last year. We saw it the year before. It happens all the time because that's just how he is. Hopefully they do play well. I like watching the 76ers play just because it does remind me of that old school type of play with Joel Embiid. You saw him do a nice little spin move off of Vucevic there. Something that, is just him practicing and practicing. It's always fun to watch him get better because he has a high ceiling. I still don't have faith in this team yet. So it's extra 3.4 turnovers a game. So this seems accurate. He seems to be like a high turnover guy, especially since he has the ball most of the time. He is the one making a lot of the plays as far as passing and running like the offense. So it does make sense like for him to have high turnovers. But you can't shoot 2 for 14. If you are their main ball handler and you aren't a threat, then that just lets them sag off of you and guard everybody else.
This is great because I listen to both you guys, and I'm going to take some things that I agree with, some things I disagree with. Let's start with just the premise of the question. Am I concerned about last night? No. It's 1 of 82. He had a bad night. Their team collectively had a bad night. So did Chicago, actually. It's amazing they won the game because they didn't.
I don't really care about anything they got to say. They're going to be talking about Julius Randle now.
Well, first of all, there's a couple of things that come to my mind. Number one, Julius Randle, I appreciate him so much because he doesn't miss games. He shows up every game. He didn't play that well when I was sitting courtside watching him against the Clippers in L.A. a couple of weeks back. But damn it, he shows up. Hey, but only play Boston Celtics. Obviously, you've proven that you can win.
My bad. Sorry about that weird skip there. That there was an ad, but he was just talking about the Knicks. They lost that game. Julius Randle played well. He had 50 points, but they still lost the game because it really doesn't matter. Because I still don't believe in these Knicks. They don't have enough yet. I don't think that Julius Randle and Brunson are enough. I don't think even when RJ Barrett is playing well, even when Quickly's playing well, it's just not enough. I don't think the Knicks are ready. And it was good to see Julius Randle play well, but in the end, like, you're still the Knicks.
Went on the road because you've done that last year in that game 6 when Jason Tatum went berserk and then you closed them out.
Yeah, who cares?
Perspective, and you look at the 76.
I'll prefer
we talked about this yesterday.
But if I had to pick one team, maybe it matters more to. I'm going to go with Boston, and it's more of a process of elimination. So
yesterday we talked about who are the top 3 teams in the East. I still have the Bucks winning the East, but I could easily see the Celtics doing the same thing. I just still don't have faith in the 76ers. I don't think they have enough. I think one thing that the Bulls have are athletic guards and guards who can actually score and play. They do remind me of a watered down Boston team with their 2 guards as well. And it will force James Harden to have to play defense. And he'll struggle.
Milwaukee, they won it. They got it done. They got that thing all the way across the finish line and won a championship. And they were in some tight spots during that run and in the last several years since the Giannis Antetokounmpo era really took off, they've been in those tight spots and they have managed to win some of those really important road games. And they won the ultimate prize. They won a championship. So you can say now they've got championship pedigree. So I don't doubt them as much maybe on the road in a big spot. When I look at a team like Philly, I don't even know that it's that great necessarily with all the games I've sat in over the years at Wells Fargo in the playoffs. And I know you have Stephen A. And at some moment, this guy right here next to me was playing in some of those games. The weight at times and the heaviness, right, that's in that building at times when the pressure starts to percolate. I almost think sometimes it could be more of a relief to be playing that situation on the road, right? Because you can just sense it. And they're hanging on every single moment, particularly when you're coming off a situation. They just lost in the World Series. They just lost in the Super Bowl. No D1 schools made the tournament this year in the city. Everything is focused on the Sixers right now. It looks like they have a shot. You get into those tight spots, you can kind of start to feel that in the building, and it's a lot of pressure. And I'm talking about a guy in James Harden earlier that I don't know navigates those situations that great. So for me, by process of elimination, I'm going to say Boston needs it. To get that #1 seed, to know you've got those first two in every series, Game 5, and then potentially a Game 7 in that building, I think it's more important to the Celtics. Here's a single moment per.
Oh shit! I didn't even notice. I didn't even read the question. Which team most needs the first seed in the East? I personally think it would be Boston. I do think it's hard to play in Boston if you're not obviously like the part of the Celtics. It's gonna be tough. That is already a tough team to beat, and a lot of their bench players and their role players play even better when their when the crowd is riled up. So I think that if the Celtics can push for the first seed, then I think that would be a huge advantage, probably more of an advantage than probably the Bucks getting it, because I just think that they play well everywhere. They are a very tight-knit, clean team, like to watch. Very, very focused. They don't really make a lot of mistakes. You'll see, some like defensive breakdowns and bad passes every now and again. But other than that, they run a really tight ship, and it's fun to watch like the Bucks play. So I still think that they're going to come out first seed in the East, but I don't think it really matters to them that much. And I don't think the 76ers can make that push. I just don't think that they're good enough. I could see them trying to get the second seed. I could see the Celtics definitely resting Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown a little bit more. But other than that, I don't know.
On the road, they've got at Golden State, at Phoenix, at Denver. They still got a road game in Milwaukee. They've got a home game against Boston. And then they close with the Miami Heat, who are battling for that 6th spot. The Atlanta Hawks, who are battling for that 7 or 8 spot. And the Brooklyn Nets, who are battling for that 6, 7, or 8 spot. So their road, with 3 games back, with 11 to play, their road to get there is extremely difficult. I don't think they're going to get the #1 seed. To Stephen A's point, the path for the #1 seed, and this is not a knock on Cleveland or the New York Knicks, the path to the #1 seed to get to the conference finals is easier than if you're in the 2 or the 3 spot. And the path to the NBA finals is easier. Think about whoever gets the #1 seed. You've got the Knicks or the Cavs in the 2nd round. You're in that 2-3 spot. You've likely got to win your first round series, potentially against the Miami Heat, who have been playing better lately. Then you've got to beat one of Philly, Boston, Milwaukee.
All right, I'm pretty much going to end the video here, but JJ Redick does make some good points here, talking about who's really in the East. Like,
who actually has a chance in the East. Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly. You could sneak Miami in there just because of how they play, but in reality, you don't see the Cavs, you don't see the Knicks, and you don't see the Nets. You're definitely not going to see the Hawks. They're not ready. There's only 3 teams, maybe 4 teams, because, well, Miami made it actually to the finals. And I think that Jimmy Butler is just one of those players that could will his team to a certain extent. But I think the Cavs are going to give you a run for their money. I don't think that they're going to win, but I think they can give you a good run for their money. So right now it'll be Milwaukee versus Hawks, Boston versus the Heat, 76ers versus Brooklyn, and the Cavs versus the Knicks. I just think that the top 3 teams should have easy wins, except for Boston. I think Boston might have a fight with Miami, but I don't think it'll be that big of an issue.
But that's everything. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.